Russia tests new Shahed drone defense. Infrared blinding device detected. January 03, 2026. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. I'm Alex. Join me with Arya in the latest deep dive by Defense Report for a sharp, no-nonsense breakdown of the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today we're going to cover, well, it's the terrifyingly fast technical arms race happening in the skies over Ukraine. We're really focused on the adapted Shahed platform, which Russia, designates the Geran 2. This thing is moving far beyond its original role as just a simple flying bomb.
It absolutely is.
We're looking at a weapon that is increasingly guided by some pretty sophisticated artificial intelligence, a platform that's been spotted armed with air-to-air missiles, and the newest recovered drone debris shows a design twist intended specifically to blind Ukrainian defenders.
It's a technical war being fought at lightning speed.
It really is.
It's truly the next phase of rapid innovation in conflict. Every single successful defensive strategy, it just instantly spawns a hardware upgrade on the other side.
A constant back and forth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our sources, they're analyzing recovered debris that shows how Russia is iterating the Geran 2 design to specifically counter Ukraine's most effective defense. These highly successful, low-cost mobile fire units.
The crews that hunt them at night.
Those are the ones, they are so good at their job that Russia is now trying to, literally turn off their vision. The pace of this tactical evolution, and really how Ukraine seems to be staying one step ahead, is what makes this particular deep dive so critical for understanding how Europe defends itself today.
Let's start right there with the newest piece of tech that grabbed our attention and created that headline. We have definitive analysis of recently recovered drone wreckage revealing an entirely new countermeasure.
A very targeted effort.
We are talking about the detection of an infrared or IR searchlight mounted on the front of a Russian Shahed-type drone.
Exactly. And the source material really drills down into the technical function here. It's a concentrated array of high-power IR light-emitting diodes, LEDs, that blast light in the near-infrared spectrum.
Near-infrared. So that's just beyond what the human eye can see. But it's right in the sweet spot for older night vision.
Precisely. It's exactly what older night vision devices, the NVDs, use to amplify ambient light.
Well, the light is specifically designed to hit those optics. What's the tactical goal?
The goal is to induce what's technically called blooming. It's a effectively momentary blindness in the image intensifier tubes that those mobile fire groups and pilots use during night operations.
Yeah, these mobile units have been incredibly efficient.
Incredibly. Often intercepting 40% or more of the drones in their sectors. So Russia is trying to degrade the crew's vision, give the drone those critical few seconds it needs to slip through the defense and hit its target.
On paper, this sounds like a serious, potentially debilitating threat. If you're out there relying on night vision and a concentrated blast of near-IR light hits you, that's panic time.
It would be.
But here's where that counter-adaptation of the Ukrainian side comes in. Does this new blinding trick actually work effectively against the systems in use?
Not reliably, and it certainly doesn't work against Ukraine's most modern military-grade assets.
Okay.
While the IR searchlight might induce a momentary sort of local blindness in older legacy NVDs that Ukraine is forced to use because of supply constraints,
Right.
most modern Generation 3 and advanced Gen 2 Plus devices have built-in features to mitigate this exact thing. They use bright source protection and a feature called auto-gating.
Auto-gating.
It rapidly limits that saturation effect, so it prevents a total loss of situational awareness. The blinding is temporary, and it's localized to just a small spot on the tube.
But this brings us to the crucial technical oversight, and this is where it gets really interesting for our listeners. The source material points out that Russia may have optimized this solution for the wrong threat.
That's the fundamental error. It's a spectral oversight. Let's make this clear for everyone listening. The IR searchlight operates in the near-infrared spectrum. Okay, this is like shining a very specific frequency of light. However, Ukraine's most advanced air defense assets, and the dedicated interceptor drones we'll get into shortly, they do not primarily track reflected light.
They're not looking for that.
No. They rely on thermal imaging cameras, which operate in the long-wave or mid-wave IR spectrum. They are tracking the drone's heat signature, the hot engine, the exhaust, the friction of the body moving through the air.
So the searchlight is completely invisible to them.
Completely. Because the searchlight only emits in the near IR, it is essentially invisible to the very sensors that guide Ukraine's most effective counterassets. It's an expensive, high-power attempt to counter a technology Ukraine has, in practice, already bypassed.
Okay, let's unpack this. Beyond just trying to blind the air defense crews,
Hmm.
these new drones are getting significantly smarter.
Oh, much smarter.
They're moving into semi-autonomous operations, which is a massive strategic leap from, the original Geran 2 being just a cheap GPS-guided weapon.
Absolutely. Analysis of captured debris, specifically the MS Is Your Layer 1 series, sometimes it's designated as a Shahed 236 variant, it shows extremely sophisticated component integration.
And at the heart of this smart drone evolution,
It's the inclusion of an NVIDIA Jetson Orin mini computer.
an NVIDIA Jetson Orin, that's commercial off the shelf, but it's optimized for AI, machine learning, video processing, things like robotics or autonomous cars. Why put that in a drone that's just going to crash?
The investment is all about mission assurance, reliability. It becomes critical when the target is high value. The Jetson Orin enables semi-autonomous terminal guidance.
So it guides itself in the final moments?
Think of it this way. The drone is no longer dependent on a perfect, clean satellite signal for that last, most crucial kilometer of the strike. The onboard infrared camera captures live imagery, which the Jetson module processes and compares, instantaneously to a preloaded database.
A database of the target.
Right. The target's visual profile, landmark shapes, terrain contours. It's often called visual or semantic navigation. It allows the drone to refine its targeting all on its own.
Even if GPS is jammed.
Exactly. Even if the signal is jammed or completely lost, it turns the missile from a simple remote-controlled device into a semi-autonomous robot capable of decision-making in the final seconds.
And to make sure those smarts actually get to the target zone, they've also upgraded the electronic warfare defenses.
Correct. We're seeing upgraded 8-channel Nasir anti-jamming antennas. For the listener, these are complex systems. They're called Controlled Reception Pattern Antennas, or CRPAs.
Okay.
They use multiple elements, 8 in this case, to focus precisely on the satellite signal while simultaneously ignoring or nullifying the jamming signal from Ukrainian EW systems.
And the previous versions used 4 elements, right?
Yeah.
So doubling that is a big deal.
It is. It fundamentally increases the drone's ability to resist electronic warfare and maintain a stable lock longer into the attack. And what's fascinating here is the synergy between that robust 8-channel Nasir antenna and the NVIDIA Jetson module.
They work together.
They do. You can't just jam the GPS anymore. The drone has backup intelligence and anti-jamming hardware designed to ensure the mission gets completed. It makes it extremely difficult to get a soft kill electronically.
That's the complex soft kill side of things. But the sources show Russia isn't just defending the electronic side. They've escalated the kinetic threat itself. Moving from a pure suicide munition to a drone that can actively defend itself.
Yeah.
That's a massive escalation. First reported in December 2025.
That was the defining moment. The discovery of a version of the Geran 2 armed with a short-range, heat-seeking R-60 air-to-air missile mounted right on the nose.
A classic fighter jet missile on a drone.
Yeah.
Intended to shoot down Ukrainian jets and helicopters trying to stop it.
Precisely. This is active self-protection. It's a direct deterrent aimed at those Ukrainian aircrews, particularly the Mi-8 helicopter and fighter pilots who fly these dangerous patrol missions.
The ones using machine guns and cannons to get cost-effective shootdowns.
Exactly. The R-60 is a heat-seeking missile, so it requires no complex radar. The drone just needs to point itself toward the hot engine of the intercepting aircraft for a potential lock.
It's poetic justice, though, that the very first time this tech was deployed was also how it was exposed.
It is. On December 1st, 2025, that R-60 armed Shahed was successfully intercepted, and not by an expensive Western surface-to-air missile, but by a Ukrainian-developed low-cost counter-drone interceptor called the Sting.
Wow.
It just underscores the agility and the sheer speed of the Ukrainian defense development ecosystem.
And speaking of volume, we can't forget the deception tactics. The sheer number of these things is a weapon in itself, designed to drain the defender's wallet.
Absolutely. This is the core volume and deception strategy, and it relies heavily on the cheaper, foam-bodied Gerbera decoy drones. Our sources indicate Russia planned to manufacture 24,000 Gerbera decoys in 2025, alongside 40,000 lethal Geran 2s. The tactic is simple. Saturate air defenses. Launch these decoys in mass salvos with the lethal drones,
Forcing Ukraine to spend expensive missiles on junk.
on what amounts to air-breathing garbage, yes. And the sources show this tactic is effective, at least in part. It contributed significantly to nights where nearly 50% of the drones launched reached their
Because
targets.
the air defense system was just overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed and exhausted of its most capable munitions, it shifts the economic burden squarely onto the defender.
And the geopolitical ripple effects of this aren't just contained to Ukraine. These systems are crossing borders, putting NATO on edge.
That's the critical point for our listeners in Europe. The volume and unpredictability of these cheap systems mean NATO is having to rapidly shift its readiness posture. We have reports of Shahed or Geran drones repeatedly violating the airspace of NATO countries.
Like Romania.
Romania saw multiple violations in 2024, again in January 2025. Lithuania also saw a Gerbera fly into its airspace in July 2025. That incident was so serious it prompted security services to move government officials into shelters.
So the stakes are constantly rising, even when it's just a decoy.
Precisely. When a drone, even a decoy, enters NATO airspace, it forces alliance fighter jets on patrol to shift from a relaxed training mode to immediate combat mode.
That increases friction, risk,
And operational fatigue. Furthermore, Ukrainian intelligence has cited drone guidance antennas being installed on residential rooftops in Belarus near the border just to aid these strikes. It shows how integrated and close this threat really is.
which brings us back to how Ukraine is fighting this. While Russia relies on volume and complexity, Ukraine's survival rests on its multi-layered countershield, a high-tech but low-cost response.
It's a brilliant, decentralized strategy. It starts at the ground level with detection. Ukraine's foundational defense layer is this extensive acoustic grid, a network of almost 10,000 acoustic sensors.
Listening for that moped sound.
Exactly. They pinpoint that unique sound of the piston engine Shahed, providing high-accuracy early warning and vectoring mobile fire groups to the exact flight path long before it's visible on radar.
Then you layer on the highly advanced interceptor drones, which are designed to provide a cheap answer to this expensive threat.
Yes, the mass production of dedicated interceptors like the Sting and Bullet is a game changer. And crucially, these interceptors are equipped with AI modules known as TFL anti-Shahed.
So they're smart.
Very. And remember our earlier discussion about the Russian IR searchlight. These Ukrainian AI systems completely bypass that threat because they auto-target the thermal signature of the Geran 2's engine. They just ignore the IR blinder entirely.
So how successful are they? What do the reports say?
The reports are exceptional. These interceptor systems are credited in one major report with downing 9 out of 10 Shaheds in a given engagement zone. They are forcing the innovation curve to favor the defense.
And what about the faster jet-powered versions?
They're even proving effective against those. The Geran 3s, they're designed to fly at, up to 600 kilometers per hour. But operational data shows they're often forced to fly at a much reduced cruise speed, around 300 to 350 kilometers, just to save fuel.
And that slower speed keeps them vulnerable.
It keeps them right inside the engagement envelope of the Ukrainian interceptor drones. It's a war of operational limits and clever exploitation.
And we have to mention the ultimate low-tech success story here.
We do.
It shows that technology isn't always everything.
Indeed. We have that recent report of a Ukrainian Maitru successfully shooting down a Shahed with an onboard machine gun. This type of kinetic, cost-effective method remains absolutely vital against a threat produced at such a massive scale.
So we see this incredible adaptive response from Ukraine, alongside Russia's aggressive mass production at places like the Alabuga factory, aiming for 5,000 units a month. But the sources reveal this image of industrial health sits right alongside deep systemic flaws in their broader defense industrial complex.
This industrial paradox is staggering, and it's a critical insight. While they can aggressively scale up drone production, the necessary support structure behind it is collapsing. Just consider the financial state of the 308th Aircraft Repair Plant.
And that's the only repair facility for their heavy transport aircraft.
The sole facility for the An-22, An-26, and 72, the backbone of their air logistics. And yet the plant is near bankruptcy. It's facing disconnection from the power grid. It has months of unpaid wages.
This isn't just a financial problem, is it?
It's a profound systemic weakness. This financial collapse was directly linked to the December 2025 crash of a massive An-22 transport plane. The investigation found the cause was incorrectly assembled or poorly repaired flight control actuators.
So bad parts because they weren't getting paid.
It illustrates that grim reality of you get what you pay for. It highlights this profound weakness in the pillars of their defense maintenance. So while they project this image of strength with the drone program, that strength rests on a crumbling foundation of corruption and faulty maintenance.
So what does this all mean then? The IR blinding device was, a technical dud because Ukraine moved to thermal imaging, but this rapid escalation to AI and kinetic self-defense. That's the real story here.
This raises an important question. The failure of the IR searchlight is just an interesting footnote. The truly important takeaway is the rapid, resource-intensive shift toward AI guidance and active self-defense.
Right.
While Russia relies on sheer volume and increasingly complex, expensive systems like the Jets and Orin to ensure mission completion, the survival of Ukraine and the long-term security of Europe relies on agile, high-tech adaptability. Ukraine is currently winning the technical war with intelligent, cost-effective defensive systems.
So acoustic grids, thermal targeting AI interceptor.
Exactly, forcing the innovation curve to constantly favor the defense.
The ultimate challenge for Europe and NATO going forward, then, isn't just about the technology. It's about the economic equation of this new kind of war.
It is. We have to consider the implications of AI-driven suicide drones potentially becoming significantly cheaper and more numerous than the highly complex and expensive interceptor missiles and defensive systems required to stop them. That is the fundamental economic balance that Europe must solve to secure its skies in the coming decade.
You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Aria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.